Welcome to the series where I test out money-making methods from the OSRS Wiki. Feel free to leave suggestions on which moneymaker you'd like to see next. And also, if you didn't already know, I have a nice playlist that I've created that has all of the previous moneymakers that I've already tried, so go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. With that being said, let's get into the video. So for today's video, we'll be taking a look at a comment from quite a long time ago, and this one is to kill blue dragons. I'll be doing it in Taverley Dungeon, although there are some other places that you can kill these blue dragons. Now personally, I think this is a pretty cool moneymaker considering that we have done the green dragons not too long ago, and this is kind of a throwback to one of my first videos of this series in which we went to the Taverley Dungeon to collect the blue dragon scales that are found around the blue dragons. So now instead of just running around picking up the blue scales, we'll actually be engaging in some combat with these blue dragons. Now as far as requirements go, all you'll really need is some good combat stats depending on what method you're going to be using to kill these dragons. You can either go the melee route, which 90 plus is recommended for, or the ranged route, which is recommended to have at least 70 range, or you could even go the magic route where it says 37 is recommended. And honestly, magic is pretty effective against these dragons, but just keep in mind that it is more expensive because you do have to buy runes for each cast of the spell. Now for this 1 hour, I chose to go the melee route since I think it's the most cost-effective way to go, and we do have some pretty good gear to go along with it. So I am bringing the best in slot that I currently own, which is full bandos, primordial boots, the ferocious gloves, the berserker ring imbued, the dragonfire shield, which is very important because we do need that dragonfire protection, the Dragon Hunter Lance as our weapon, the Fire Cape and Max Cape for teleports, the Amulet of Torture with an ornament kit, the Rada's Blessing 4, and the Nate's-Not Face Guard. As for the inventory, all I'm bringing is 1 dose of extended anti-fire, which lasts 12 minutes. And if you are a lower level than me and you don't have access to this gear, then you might want to bring some food as well. The wiki recommends lobster or better. You could also choose to bring regular anti-fire potions, but these extended anti-fire potions aren't that expensive, so I don't mind using these over those. Now as for getting there, I'll be using the Max Cape to teleport to my player-owned house, and then from there I'll use my Nexus to go to Falador, and this is the method that we'll be using every time to bank. As you can see here, there is a bank here in Falador. This is where we'll be banking all of the dragon bones and the blue dragon hide, and then once you're done there, you can just run past this agility shortcut, which awards 1 agility XP, and then just keep heading northwest, and you'll eventually come over to these dead trees, and in between the dead trees you'll see a ladder of which you can climb down. And I'm sure most of you are already familiar with this place since it is used in, I believe, multiple quests, and of course there are a bunch of different Slayer monsters that you can kill down here. But as you can see, here we are. This is the agility shortcut that I will be using, which saves a ton of time. You do need 70 agility to use this shortcut, or you can even have 65 with summer pies to boost. Now if you don't have the proper agility level, you will have to run across the entire area, which can take a lot longer, and obviously it'll eat into the amount of kills you can get per hour. So if you don't have the agility requirement, you might not want to do this moneymaker, but if you still want to, then just remember you need the Dusty Key to get access to this area. Now I gotta say, this place does hold a special place in my heart because I do believe that my first ever Slayer task was to kill blue dragons, and I'm pretty sure that I killed them here and I used ranged to save spots since I was a very low level. It was a pretty daunting first Slayer task, but still, I had fun nonetheless. This was pretty much my first day of becoming member. I believe before that I was training up my F2P account up to at least 60 attack, defense, and strength so that I could use dragon equipment. And now that I look back on it, it really wasn't worth it to do all that training in free-to-play. It's much more efficient to do it in members, but I was having fun at the time, and that's really what this game is all about, just having fun. And if you're curious, I did all of that training at Moss Giants under Barak in the sewers. And it was a huge surprise to me when I entered Members World, and I still couldn't even use a lot of the dragon equipment that I wanted to try out because of quest restrictions. So yeah, fun times. But enough reminiscing. As far as this moneymaker goes, it was pretty chill, especially considering all the gear and stats that I have. But yeah, all I did was really activate Piety as soon as I got down there, and I was usually able to finish a full inventory of dragon bones and blue dragon hide around the same time that the prayer did end up draining. I never really had to use Protect from melee, but again, if you are a lower level account, you might consider doing that, along with bringing some food. Now, the dragons do drop some food every now and then. They do drop the bass, so that's kind of nice if you are lower leveled. But again, if you are a low level account, you might as well just use ranged or magic. I prefer ranged since it's not as expensive, and you can safe spot these blue dragons. But just be prepared to compete for worlds. I know whenever I first started doing this as my first layer task, it was pretty crowded here, especially at the safe spots. Everybody was fighting over those blue dragons, but nowadays I'm not really sure if it's as crowded. This day I guess I just got lucky. There was like one person that I saw, and that was pretty much it, so yeah. Now, as for some other drops that these blue dragons drop besides their dragon bones and blue dragon hide, they also have access to the herb table, which most of them are pretty rare to get, but if you do plan on camping here for a long time, bringing an herb sack might be helpful. These dragons also drop some runes. They drop water, nature, law, and fire runes, and the only ones that I was picking up were the nature runes, since they do drop in stacks of 15, and together that's worth more than a dragon bone and a blue dragon hide, so I definitely made sure to pick those up. But again, if you do plan on camping here for a long time, maybe bringing a rune pouch would be helpful, since you can store 3 of the 4 runes that they drop in one slot. And as you saw there, I did get lucky with the loop half of key, which is on the rare drop table, and I also got an uncut diamond, which was pretty nice. So I suppose you could bring a gem bag as well, but I'm not sure if you get gems often enough to bring that, but really it's up to you. And last but not least, you can also get the Ensouled Dragon Head, which is a 1 in 50 drop, and it's worth quite a pretty penny. And you also have access to the Clue Scroll Hard, which is a 1 in 128 drop, so be on the lookout for that. Unfortunately, I could not get one because I'm pretty sure I already have a hard clue in the bank. I'm just waiting on an elite so that I can turn it in for a master clue. And also a helpful tip, during this 1 hour I was using my POH to use the Ornate Rejuvenation Pool, so I was able to get my health, my stamina, and my prayer points back. If you don't have access to this, then just hop over to World 330 and use somebody's home there. And who knows, you might get lucky and find there's nobody on World 330 at Blue Dragons, that way you won't have to hop back and forth. But if there is, then it's not really too much of a hassle to be hopping back and forth just to get the rejuvenation, especially when you consider that building your own is quite expensive. But that's pretty much it for the 1 hour. As you can see, here is all of the loot that we got. A whole lot of dragon bones, blue dragon hide, and some other various items, which equals around 667,000 GP. We can now go ahead and head over to the GE to sell off all of this good loot. Now, with like most of my videos, I am selling the more expensive items for close to market price, and the items that don't really influence the total price too much, I just sell for pretty cheap just to sell them off as quickly as possible for the sake of the video. But again, if you are planning to be here for a long time, then just throw them in overnight for a higher than market price, or at least market price. That way you can maximize the total profit that you get. And it didn't take very long for all of the items to sell, except the Ensouled Dragon Head. I believe it took around 10 minutes for the rest of the items to sell, which was pretty quickly. And here you go, with the last item being sold, we have a total price check of around 664,000 GP from 1 hour. We can now go ahead and calculate the total profit we made from the 1 hour, subtracting the supplies, even though it was very minimal. So if we subtract the cost of supplies, which was just the extended antifires, we get 1,185. Subtract that from the total amount of money that we made, which was 664,194 GP. We get a grand total profit of 663,009 GP. So yeah, overall, I'd say this is a pretty decent moneymaker. It's not very click intensive, it's pretty chill. I think the hardest part is just running back to the place, since the inventory did fill up pretty quickly, but again, we are a very high leveled account with very good gear, so we were able to make more than what the wiki said. And not only did we get a nice amount of money, but we also got a nice bit of XP as shown here. Some nice shared XP between hit points, strength, defense, attack, and even some agility XP for using the shortcut. And here is also a look at the total amount of kills that we got throughout the 1 hour. The total was 159, and there's a look at all of the loot. So if you were to pick up all of the loot, that's the total amount of money that you would have made. But yeah, we just focused on the bones and the blue dragon hide. I just want to say thanks for checking out the video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and possibly even a subscription. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next episode.